Hidden by rain in the dark of night, one of the most terrifying tornadoes to ever sweep across Kansas slowly churned its way towards Greensburg.
Boy, I sure hate to tell you this, friends, but it looks like that thing is right on top of Greensburg. So your time is up. You need to be in your shelter right now.
2 miles wide with twisting winds topping 200 miles an hour. The storm left almost nothing behind when it slammed into town. 95% of Greensburg gone in seconds.
You didn't know where you were. There were no landmarks. It was hard to figure out what street was what, and you can see they painted right there, Main Street.
When the sun rose in the morning, residents saw the damage was devastating. Only 2 buildings in the town of 1,400 people were left standing. Every home was heavily damaged or just destroyed.
We didn't know where to go. We didn't know what to do.
Confusion quickly turned to conviction, step by step, cleaning up the mess and rebuilding their town from the rubble.
It was never even a second thought. We were ready to just get in, clean up, and get going.
Erica Goodman ran the antique store in town after she and her husband moved to Greensburg from Las Vegas.
Hard to believe 10 years have passed by in some ways, and then in other ways it seems like a lifetime ago.
She ran for city council and won, and decided to move her antique store into the only building on Main Street that survived the storm.
And it became home, and that's what it boiled down to. We loved the community, we loved Kansas, so we were going to stay.
It was that attitude that kept Greensburg from vanishing off the map. While half the town did leave, half stayed, not only rebuilding, but rebranding, with an idea that got the town international attention.
What if your community literally disappeared?
As Greensburg rebuilt, they built green. Nowhere else on earth will you find more eco-friendly buildings per person than in Greensburg, Kansas.
They saw a new beginning, not only for them, but for all of us.
And with this plan came more headlines, more cameras, and even a reality TV series on Discovery, produced by one of the most famous movie stars on the planet, Leonardo DiCaprio.
At the time, you can't fully put it into perspective. And so yes, with 5-10 years down the road, you look back on it and you do say, wow, that was crazy.
Cassie Gamble spent her senior year of high school taking classes out of FEMA trailers while being followed around by TV cameras.
The more I think about it lately, I think about how much of it was just kind of shock the whole time. That's just how I dealt with everything, I think, to get through it. It just, half the time, it didn't even seem real.
Like many from this small town, Cassie's a person who values her privacy and has mixed feelings about the attention. But she knows without it, her hometown likely wouldn't have had the chance to rebuild.
10 years gives you a lot of perspective.
Before the tornado, Greensburg used its big well to draw tourists off Highway 54 to bring extra income into town. Now the big well houses a museum telling the story of the tornado and Greensburg's rebirth, snagging a steady stream of tourists driving through.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I almost didn't come in, but I'm glad we did.
Tourism Director Stacy Barnes says attendance remains strong at the Big Well 5 years now after it reopened.
So we see this as a great opportunity to update people on where we are today.
Interest around the globe also remains high in Greensburg's story. The town uniquely offers valuable information about how well green tech has been holding up over the last 10 years.
Now that we are 5-10 years since a lot of these buildings have been built, people want to know, how is it working out? How is it performing? And, nothing's perfect. And we will offer that answer to anyone that, of course, nothing's perfect. We didn't get it all right, but we've learned a lot.
Green tours are a popular attraction, and you get preferred parking if you drive an eco-friendly car. But scattered around some of the most amazing buildings in Kansas, empty lots and for sale signs. Some sitting out so long, the number to call to buy the property has long since faded away. Half the town stayed to rebuild, but half left and never came back. The population has remained at 800 since the tornado. Greensburg's biggest challenge over the next 10 years will be bringing more jobs to town, and the tornado has made that task even more difficult.
We don't have old buildings, so if a business wants to come in, it's going to require us to build a new site, which has some high costs.
While the new downtown business incubator has seen some success creating new shops, services, and jobs, the business park on the edge of town remains empty. City leaders say for Greensburg to survive decades into the future, the town will need to figure out some way to grow. But one thing about Greensburg, they dug by hand into the earth further than anyone ever did, and then built up their town when no one thought they could. Kansans here have experience making impossible things happen. For Positively Kansas, I'm Justin Kramer.